Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's ceremony where the men and women of United States Transportation Command pay special tribute to Mr. Bruce A. Busler on the occasion of his retirement as a civilian with the United States Army after over 40 years of dedicated service to our country. I'm Mr. Pete Matthews, and I will be your narrator. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is the Commander, United States Transportation Command, General Jacqueline Van Ovost. Also participating in today's ceremony is the Commanding General, Military Surface Deployment and Distribution Command, Major General Gavin Lawrence. For the past 14 years of his career, Mr. Busler served as a member of the Senior Executive Service, or SES. The government established the SES to ensure that the executive management of the government of the United States is responsive to the needs, policies, goals of the nation, and otherwise is of the highest quality. Members of the SES serve in key positions below top presidential appointees and represent the highest quality of government leaders with well-honed executive skills. Mr. Busler is the equivalent of a one-star general officer. At this time, we would like to recognize our distinguished guests. Please hold your applause until all guests have been introduced. Mr. Busler's spouse, Sue, their son Tom, his wife Jenna, and their children Isla, Augie, Olive, and Elle. Their son Luke, his wife Elizabeth, and their child Penny. Their daughter Rebecca and her husband Taylor. And Mr. Busler's brothers Ben and Brad. We would also like to welcome the Chief of Staff, Major General Susan Henderson, ma'am, our Command Senior Enlisted Leader, Chief Master Sergeant Brian Guzelnik, and all other general officers, flag officers, senior executive service personnel, directors, deputy directors, senior enlisted leaders, co-workers, friends, and family joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of ruffles and flourishes, posting of the colors, the national anthem, and the invocation. Color guard, post the colors.
Forward, march, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, colors, hold, left, face, present,
Chaplain Light will now provide the invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for blessing us with Mr. Busler at U.S. Transcom. He has mentored and invested in our leadership for many years. So much so that it is almost expected at award ceremonies for the awardee to look him directly in the eye and say, "Thank you for spending so much time with me so that I could understand my job better." We are a stronger organization and a complete team when Mr. Busler's door was open and there was space available on his calendar. Thank you for preparing him to serve in this role and allowing the circumstances of his life to send him here to serve amongst us. And now, as he looks to the future beyond today, I ask that you would provide him with protection, with rich family experiences, and the fulfillment of knowing the impact that he has made here among us. I also ask that you would help him to see the path forward and that he would courageously step out on the adventure which awaits. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Light. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Major General Lawrence, sir, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning, General Van Oberst, distinguished guests, family, and friends. I want to thank you all for being here as we recognize the service of Mr. Bruce Busler as he officially culminates 45 years of dedicated service to our nation, the last 14 of which he served as both the U.S. Transcom Joint Distribution Process Analysis Center Director and the SCDC Transportation Engineering Agency Executive Director. Truly, the end of an era for both the SDDC and U.S. Transcom headquarters teams. Hey, Bruce, I want to thank you for asking me to be a part of this. And General Van Oberst, ma'am, thank you for approving my participation on behalf of the SDDC team. I think most of you are tracking that Bruce started his DoD service flying high with the U.S. Air Force. But in his role as the TEA Executive Director, he has had a profound and indelible impact upon the ability to project our land component forces and associated combat power where and when needed, utilizing surface conveyances and their associated network to meet the deployment and distribution needs of our nation. Now, I think most of you are tracking that Bruce has an affinity for the Star Wars movie saga. And so I think you'll agree when I talk of Bruce of being the Yoda of TEA, leading his dedicated team through ambiguity and complexity with a proficiency that remains unrivaled. To lead such an outstanding organization required Bruce to always be on top of things with Jedi-like foresight. And I can say with confidence, the force is strong in that man. Bruce was widely recognized by leaders from across the Department of Defense for his expertise in transportation feasibility and analysis. And like any true professional, he was always willing to share his expertise for the betterment of the entire organization. As the premier DoD Deployment, Engineering, and Analysis Center, Bruce led an organization that prides itself on employing state-of-the-art computational and analytical tools, as well as the most advanced information system technologies to satisfy the warfighter's total force projection needs. Our national military strategy is built on our ability to rapidly deploy, project, and sustain armed forces anywhere in the world. These force projection goals are constantly evolving and become ever the more demanding in today's environment. SCDC and TEA support these requirements with timely and accurate deployment and surface distribution related analysis and transportation engineering solutions. TEA has and continues to play a critically important role in ensuring our national security objectives. And successfully leading an organization this dynamic requires a special finesse from an exceptional leader ready to sacrifice time and energy. And Bruce, you did that and more. This was not a 9-to-5 job for Bruce. It was the culmination of a lifetime of commitment to the warfighter, the DoD, and our nation. TA's excellence is the product of years of hard work, rigorous analysis, and constant refinement. The character Yoda stated in The Empire Strikes Back, "Do or do not. There is no try." And as the executive director, Bruce ensured that the TEA team did not just try. It was the catalyst of action, moving several strategic efforts forward. From the design and award of new heavy lift rail cars to spearheading modernization and readiness efforts at our military ocean terminals, to the development of analytical tools and visualization dashboards like Rails that are revolutionizing the way we plan and execute service movements, all accomplished, as we like to say at SDC, on time, on target, every time. On a personal note, Bruce, I want to thank you for always being willing to set aside your busy schedule to meet with me one-on-one. Early in my tenure in command, Bruce played an important role in advising and educating me on the roles and responsibilities of the SCDC commanding general. And we would meet bi-weekly in my office. Bruce would bring a study or an info paper for us to discuss and review. Now, somehow I always ended up with having homework at the end of this. Bruce, I guess you figured this Padawan needed a little bit more work. But throughout my time in command, this relationship, dare I say, friendship, has continued to grow. Bruce, I want you to know I am a better commander for having served with you. And this command, this nation, is better off because of your service and expertise. Here's an interesting fact, ladies and gentlemen. Just to symbolize Bruce's contributions to our nation, he was recognized not once, but twice by the President of the United States, having earned the Meritorious Presidential Rank Award once in 2015 and again in 2022. This is a phenomenal accomplishment and a true marker of just how important Bruce is to our nation's national security efforts. So in closing, Bruce, on behalf of the 5,400 total force surface warriors of SDDC, I want to thank you. And know that you will be missed not only because of your professionalism and dedication to excellence, but because you were always willing to selflessly share your expertise in pursuit of a common goal, the successful projection of American combat power. Sue and family, I wish you all many, many years of happiness and a deep, heartfelt thanks for loaning Bruce to us for so many years. Bruce, as my final act, or one of my final acts, as your SCDC Commanding General, it's my honor to present you the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Joint Distinguished Civilian Service Award. And I'd ask you to please join me on center stage for the award presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as General Lawrence presents the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Joint Distinguished Civilian Service Award to Mr. Bruce A. Busler. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Joint Distinguished Civilian Service Award to Mr. Bruce A. Busler. Mr. Bruce A. Busler distinguished himself by exceptionally superior service as Executive Director, Military Surface Deployment and Distribution Command, Transportation Engineering Agency, and Director, Joint Distribution Process Analysis Center, United States Transportation Command, Scott Air Force Base, Illinois, from October 2010 to May 2024. During this period, Mr. Busler made transformational impacts on the defense transportation system, ensuring the Department of Defense is postured to deploy and sustain United States forces anywhere in the world. He delivered multiple congressionally directed mobility studies, establishing the wartime requirement for mobility assets to support the national defense strategy. He directed global assessments of nodes and routes and led national defense programs for highways, railroads, and ports to meet the full range of United States Transportation Command missions. His role in operational analysis was evident during the 2021 Afghan refugee evacuation, the largest in history, to gain access to sufficient commercial passenger airlift and meter evacuee flow. He led efforts to refine airlift management to achieve both readiness and efficiency goals, and institutionalized analytic rigor into forecasting workload and asset utilization across the United States Transportation Command's 15 lines of operation. Additionally, he was at the forefront of adopting advanced analytics as the command's chief analytics officer, leading efforts to create decision advantage capabilities, fostering a blue ribbon analytic community of practice, and delivering foundational use cases. The distinctive accomplishments of Mr. Busler culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Transportation Command, and the Department of Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. General Lawrence will now make a special presentation. Thank you, General Lawrence. General Van Ovos, ma'am, the floor is yours.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Sue, great to see you as always. Very exciting day. I'm glad that your family, extended family, and I think you have some of your church family here today. So excited to have them here. And frankly, as I look across this area here, really heartwarming to see it all filled up and standing room only, right? That's exactly the example here that Bruce sets for our command. Gavin, I'm glad we could do this together, and it was great to hear about all the amazing things that Bruce has done as the TEA director. But as they say, but wait, there's more. It's so important to keep in mind that he had two really big jobs working for both organizations, especially as we try to keep track of everything that Bruce has done and measure the incredible magnitude of his impact on Transportation Command and our nation for the past 14 years. So as Gavin said, Bruce came to Transcom after retiring after a very successful 27 years career as an Air Force pilot. But in fact, it would be his second time working at Transcom. While in uniform, he had an assignment as the Chief of Operations for the Mobility Control Center, which is now called our Global Operations Center Chief. After a brief stint as a contractor in our strategy division, in 2010, he was hired as the director of the new Joint Distribution Process Analysis Center. And as the director, Bruce was responsible for developing a strategy to analytically support the broad needs of the entire joint deployment and distribution enterprise and provide assessments on the future transportation capabilities we needed and courses of action. And though I am sure that the hiring panel that chose Bruce knew that they made a great decision, I wonder if they had any idea how large of an impact this single hire would make. They selected a person who possessed an unmatched talent to visualize the future of deployment and distribution. This talent, combined with an instinctual understanding of what new challenges would arise, and his wisdom often guided how those challenges were addressed. Through his time as director, Bruce established himself as being nothing short of a national treasure. Many of the commanders, including myself, have referred to him as such in his annual performance reports. His embodiment of credibility created this reputation, which was further backed by his seamlessly endless knowledge. This meant that when Bruce spoke, people listened. Just be prepared to listen a little longer than you originally anticipated. At the time that Bruce returned to Transcom as a contractor, Transcom Commander Number 7, General John Handy, used the 2005 base realignment and closure process to bring our surface component to Scott. So the consolidation of our surface component, SDDC, Air Mobility Command, and Transcom in one location realized General Handy's vision of creating a single point for the Department of Defense's deployment and distribution operations. So through the next two commanders, that'd be General Schwartz and General McNabb, the vision laid out by General Handy would take shape. The alignment of JDPAC, TEA, and AMC's A9 into a powerful analytical and engineering team would pave the way for so many of the command's future endeavors. And with Bruce at the yoke, JDPAC became the desperately needed single voice on mobility issues across the Department of Defense, industry, and Congress. Through his committed, competent, and collaborative leadership, Bruce was vital to our mission. His reputation ensured the confidence in JDPAC's products and recommendations. As a natural team builder, Bruce led JDPAC to become Transcom's secret weapon when it came to pushing some of our highest priorities and securing support for the things that the enterprise needed. Covering everything that Bruce did as a director is nearly an impossible task, so I'll just try to hit the high points. One of the most powerful tools that we have to advocate for our needs to Congress are our major mobility studies. And Bruce has produced the last three. These studies outline the necessity of securing the appropriate mobility forces needed for our national defense strategies, for our priorities, and for our readiness requirements, ultimately defining billions of dollars in investments towards our most vital mobility capabilities. This work supported multiple efforts that Bruce helped drive, from adjusting the KC-135 retirement profile to match the delivery of the new KC-46s, to highlighting the value of the C-5 fleet in future conflict, to integrating aeromedical evacuation into the wartime airlift schemes of maneuver. Other operational assessments that he led focused on the productivity of our airlift and sea lift practices. His proposed revisions resulted in improved efficiency and an annual cost savings of $315 million. And recently, JDPAC's work to address airlift allocation led to an additional $100 million in yearly savings and increased our readiness and support of our strategic priorities. As Transcom took on responsibilities of leading the global bulk fuel management to ensure that we have the fuel we need positioned in the places where we're going to need it, Bruce produced the 2020 fuel tanker study, while also helping INDOPACOM establish a new concept for managing resources during a high-end conflict. These efforts also secured congressional support for the initiation of the Tanker Security Program. This assured access to 10 U.S. flagged, U.S. crewed, U.S.-owned vessels, began defining the requirements for an additional 10, and combined, this essentially doubles the tanker fleet for America. A critical priority to prepare the command for the future has been our efforts towards gaining and maintaining decision advantage to provide leaders with better options faster. Bruce understood how necessary decision advantage is and led the charge on the development of an enterprise data science capability within JDPAC. Over 5 years ago, he could see what was needed and worked to grow our analytic tool set. Advancing the use of AI and other analytical modeling, Bruce championed the most cutting-edge efforts to support our missions. The value of this work was proven during the 2021 evacuation from Afghanistan, when Bruce directed JDPAC to get in front of what was an increasingly dynamic situation. Under his direction, JDPAC used an analytical model that became key to managing thousands of airlift movements required for this operation. The model helped make the decision to activate the Civil Reserve Air Fleet and convinced the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the necessity to meter flows of airlift to maintain the high pace of operations. Bruce's efforts and leadership supported the successful airlift of over 124,000 people from Afghanistan through 9 countries, 8 time zones, and more than 10 temporary safe havens in the largest air non-combatant evacuation in U.S. history. Members of Congress and organizations throughout the Department of Defense and Department of Transportation have also recognized the value of Bruce's analytical models. The resulting products are trusted and sought after, and some organizations have incorporated these models to develop their own assessments. The impact of these tools led to wide praise for Bruce and for him to be known by name to many. In Bruce's time at Transcom, the strategic environment that we face has changed significantly. Our adversaries seek to contest our logistic operations using methods that we have not experienced before. Overcoming this challenge has been a main focus area, and Bruce has once again been a major contributor to paving the way forward. He has increased the understanding of risks that we face while pushing for updated equipment, improving connectivity, force protection, and new concepts for operating that will undoubtedly increase our resiliency. Throughout the years, he authored numerous journal articles that have highlighted the importance of logistics and helped gain awareness of our wartime challenges, all of which expanded our network of support beyond what we could have hoped for. Also, Bruce's deep knowledge and the ability to contextualize information made him a regular guest speaker at multiple venues, such as the Eisenhower School at National Defense University, the Army War College, National Defense Transportation Association, and Capstone, to name a few. His reputation as a must-see keynote speaker always preceded him. And all of this has made Bruce a championship-level coach to so many past, present, and current future leaders. I am certainly no exception. He's truly one of a kind and was nearly impossible to find a suitable replacement for. Nearly. And Bruce assures me we're in great hands. There is no doubt that Bruce leaves behind an impressive legacy. It is not an understatement to say that Bruce played a part in every major command effort. His leadership has turned JDPAC into one of our most important assets. For a man that has spent the last 14 years focusing on what the future will look like, I'm sure he feels like he still has a bright one ahead of him. He has his beautiful grandkids to look after, and perhaps an Antarctic cruise and a Canadian cross-continent train journey with Sue. Bruce, you have certainly earned all of the benefits that retirement has to offer after a lifetime of service to this country. We cannot thank you enough for everything that you have done. And this command owes you a debt of gratitude. Your efforts have shaped Transcom into what it is today, and your outlook, your wisdom, and guidance has set us up well to carry the torch for the next 14 years and beyond. Sue, thank you for supporting Bruce, which allowed us to gain so much from him. We owe you the same amount of gratitude. I hope you both enjoy this next chapter, and maybe if you get bored, I hope that Bruce wouldn't mind coming back from time to time. Even if the only reason is that we will certainly miss him dearly. Congratulations, Bruce.
At this time, Mr. Busler will be presented his certificate of retirement. The certificate reads, Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement awarded to Bruce A. Busler in recognition of your retirement from the federal government for over 40 years of faithful and dedicated service. Given this 18th day of May, 2024, signed Gavin A. Lawrence, Major General, United States Army. We will now present Mr. Busler with an Outstanding Senior Executive Service Award from the Secretary of the Army. It reads, Mr. Bruce A. Busler is officially commended for outstanding contributions in the Army Senior Executive Service since his appointment on October 4th, 2010. Throughout his career, Mr. Busler demonstrated the highest levels of initiative, competence, and selfless service through the execution of programs supporting soldiers, families, and Army civilians. This commitment to service is a great credit to Mr. Busler, the Career Senior Executive Service, and the Department of the Army. Mrs. Busler, will you please join your husband? Every retiree receives a special retirement pin as a memento of his or her service. At this time, we'd like to ask Mrs. Busler to place this pin on Mr. Busler's lapel to symbolize his transition from active civil service to retired status. This pin stands as a testament of his service to our great nation. To all who see it, know that Mr. Bruce A. Busler has met all challenges set before him and has served our country with pride, honor, and dignity.
I'm going to call an audible right now.
It's your show, sir.
Our grandkids are doing great because they're watching all of you, so we're going to get a picture with my family on stage, if you don't mind, because I'm not sure where they're going to be when it's all over. Come on out. Kids and grandkids. Kids and grandkids.
Busler, will you please remain on stage?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
General Van Ovos will now make a special presentation to Mr. Busler.
So, Bruce, on behalf of JDPAC, TEA, and the men and women of Transcom, I wanted to give you a compiled collection of your published works and the papers that you collaborated on, which we're affectionately calling the Bruce Busler Chronicles. It opens up with letters signed by his previous commanders, and inside here exemplifies your enduring impact, right? And really encapsulates the breadth of his intellectual rigor and his strategic foresight. So, with the exception of, this is just the unclassified portion of your life, okay? So, there is actually a lot more than this from Bruce that has Bruce Busler's pen on it. But we do have some summaries of those classified reports in here. And so I just want to make sure that you, as you fondly flip through this and share it with your family, you remember the impact that you've had on Transcom and logistics operations and our nation. Congratulations.
Did you get one already?
Not yet. In recognition of its outstanding work with the United States Congress, the Honorable Rob Whitman of the 1st District of Virginia and Vice Chairman of the House Committee on Armed Services entered into the congressional record a tribute to Mr. Busler. Representative Whitman referred to him as a once-in-a-generation leader who made transformational impacts on the defense transportation system and the Department of Defense at large. Representative Whitman cited Mr. Busler's accomplishments as he led both the 2018 and 2020 NDAA-directed mobility studies, evaluating capabilities critical to deploying and sustaining U.S. military forces, where he leveraged big data analysis to persuasively advance mobility capability needs to meet national requirements for global transportation with high-impact results. A true leader in the science of analytics, Representative Whitman thanked Mr. Busler on behalf of the Congress for his over 40 years of dedicated and faithful service to our great nation. And one of the reasons that I'm so choked up doing this is I think we kept it all a secret all this time.
I am absolutely astounded that you pulled that off.
It was a labor of love.
It's incredibly special, Doug. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall, Mrs. Busler, and General Van Ovost. Don't get too comfortable there, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce for the very first time Mr. Bruce A. Busler, retired.
I was going to say I was going to have a panic attack if I didn't find my notes over here, so I'm glad they're here. So I just really am just floored with the turnout today, the comments today. I can't hardly say how much it means to me for you to be part of this special day for me and my family. To say I'm thrilled and inspired would be an understatement. I'm just awestruck that you have taken the time and effort to be here today to commemorate my time with you and to have a celebration with my family for the work that we've been able to do collectively. And I'm so grateful for their support as I've been able to take this journey. I just, I look out at this sea of faces, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So thank you for being here. General Van Ovost, you're a phenomenal leader, and you represent Transcom so incredibly well, not only within the Department of Defense, with our congressional stakeholders and those that look to us to count on us to do what we have to do. So I just thank you for your stalwart championship of our command, and I'm so grateful that you could do this ceremony today. I don't know if you know what her calendar's like. It is, I think you had a SecDef big group before this and 14 events in June, and just it's jam-packed, and so I'm so grateful for that we can make this work, and that our time could be aligned here. We took a special picture, by the way, and you're an inspiration for many people. Many of you may not know, but my wife Sue is a graduate of the first class of women at the Air Force Academy in 1980, and we took a picture with Sue and General Van Ovost and our granddaughters because they are inspired by incredible women leaders like you. So thank you for being part of our ceremony today. General Lawrence, thank you again for being, a gracious boss. You know what it's like to work for two different commanders. That could be a challenge at times, but your leadership and mentorship and really allowing us and JDPAC and TE to do what we needed to do to serve the Department of Defense was greatly appreciated. And so thank you again for being a great boss, but also allowing us to do what we needed to do on behalf of DoD. So thank you. I would not have thought of this day happening without you being on stage with me. So thank you for that as well. General Sue Henderson, many people don't know that we've gone back about 20 years, I think, as the Chief of Staff, and she's the perfect Chief of Staff. There's lots of balls to keep in the air, and even 20 years ago, I think we could see that you would be the perfect Chief of Staff. So thank you for being here today, and thank you for being part of my life for 20 years now. So thank you. Chief Master Sergeant Kazilnik, Chief BK, I don't know if people recognize the role that Senior Enlisted Leader plays for our command, but you champion our entire workforce, how grateful I am for your passionate leadership. You have an incredible life story. And I'll use an Army phrase, thank you for being, making us all we can be, because you make us all better because of your passionate leadership and your ability to be here. Chris, thank you for being part of my leadership team here at SDC as well. There's a whole slew of SCSs and general officers here in front of me that I can't take the time to say thank you to all of you, but I will say thank you right now. I look forward to shaking each of your hands as we walk through here in the receiving line, but I just am so grateful for your ability to be here today and to supporting me for 14 years and your predecessors before you for this long time. So thank you for being here today. I thought Andy Brown would be here. Is Andy here? I didn't see him. But I think you recognize the special role that he plays, not only as the deputy commander here, but as the president and CEO of the National Defense Transportation Association. And many of you know what that is, but for our guests, we have an incredible partnership with our industry partners. As a matter of fact, so much so we call them the fourth component. We have three component commands, air, sea, and land, but our industry partners are so very important to us to be able to do the work we do. And Andy Brown represents that group of people. And I'm grateful for their participation, not only in me professionally, but being a strong supporter of what we do in JDPAC and helping to propagate forward the value of analytics in our everyday life and what they can do from industry to help us do our jobs as well. And so, they talked about, me being long-winded. I can be long-winded. I've got notes here today. And so out of character, I'm going to try to keep my remarks on track, and I'm going to reference my notes because otherwise we could be here till well past lunch. So just bear with me. I'm going to use my notes today. But the real reason I wanted to use my notes is because I've got lots of thank yous, and I do not want to shortcut any of those. One of the key groups of people that we had today is our color guard. You may have recognized them, but our color guard, they are cream of the crop volunteers. They're made up of all the services that represent U.S. Transcom. And what an incredible group of young people we have. People can talk about, the potential malaise in our society today, but this is who we have serving our United States military today, and they did a fantastic job, don't you think? They really did. Back here in the corner is the Scott Air Force Base Band of Mid-America, and they are world-class musicians. And I have been wowed by them so many times. It is a real trick to be able to get them to perform here today, so I am so grateful that they accepted the opportunity to be here. So thank you to all of you back there. Chaplain Eric Light provided the invocation today, and he provides spiritual support for Transcom. I don't know how you don't recognize that having chaplains as part of our military profession is an incredibly important part of who we are and what we do. And they are able to celebrate with us on our best days like today, and they console us on our worst days, which is part of our military experience as well. So Chaplain Light, I don't know where he snuck off to. There he is right there. You're right in front of me here. Thank you for bringing the light to this ceremony today with your invocation. Thank you. And if you didn't think that was enough, there's more. There are a lot of people that really have to work together to make this thing all happen. And we're so really grateful for the fact we have a professional protocol staff here. Sergio Gonzalez leads that team here, and Mariah Marler over here in the corner here. She was the one that haunted all this. And whatever looks flawless up here is because of a lot of work that they did behind the scenes. And again, the Scott Event Center staff who brought this venue together. This is a great venue for this kind of ceremony. I'm grateful for them. And someone who put a lot of hard work into this effort, which you don't often see, is the command speechwriter. True? And so Sam, where's Captain Sam Yeager in the very back there? I know how hard your job is because my wife was a command speechwriter for several general officers, and it is hard. And you did a fantastic job, Sam. Thank you. And finally, no event goes off without a hitch, without a great MC. So Pete Matthews, to both you and our proffer, Greg Carl, thank you for making this event just really look perfect. I really appreciate your investment of time and energy to do this. And again, just one more round of applause. They're one that made this happen. Thank you. As I mentioned, I've been wearing, the uniform in one way or another, either, an official uniform or a suit for almost 45 years now. And you don't do this without making a lot of friends along the way. And I want to call a few people out because they made a special effort to be here. And the very first person I'm going to call out is Mike and Kathy Canino over here. Mike flew C-141s with me at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We had a test wing back then. That's now gone. But the special bond between us is that our daughter and their son were born a day apart in the base hospital there. And we have been lifelong friends ever since. And I think, Mike, you said you're going to retire from Southwest Airlines in about a month, so your being here is very special to me. Thank you for making the effort to be here. Larry Nance, where's Larry? Larry represents a lot of hardworking people, a whole string of incredible Ops Division chiefs. And Larry, you started off the groundbreaking work for forecasting. Guess what? We're still doing it today, and Manson's only made it better, but thank you for your work there. Cass, did Cass McHale make it? Cass in the back, there you go. Thank you, Cass. Cass came here all the way from California, and Cass, we were able to get her a promotion, and she works out there as a GS-15 now, and she was our executive assistant before, but Cass, you made a lot of effort to be here. I'm really grateful for your work before, but I'm thankful for the fact you came back for this event, so thank you for being here as well. And somebody very special to me is Colonel Retired Brian Bear Ballou. Brian, wave your hand, if you will, Bear. Now, what makes it really special for him is he lives in one of the most beautiful places in the entire country, and that's Sheridan, Wyoming, which is just a stone's throw from where my mom was born and grew up. And so, Bear, thank you for being here. I just can't tell you how much it means for you to take the effort to be able to be part of the ceremony today, and we'll talk more about that as well. But your presence is really a special gift, so thank you for making the effort to be here. If you look in your bulletin, one of my favorite pictures, by the way, is a picture of you and me and Kurt Zargan and Admiral Buborn in the House Armed Services Committee conference room. And I will treasure that forever, but thank you for being part of that great history. So if you want to look at that, that's one of my favorite pictures of my entire time here in JDPAC. I saw that Dave Merrill was going to try to come. Did Dave make it? But Dave is, we recognize as one of the prior A9 directors, and I was hoping he would be able to make it as well. There's also a big group of people that are sitting over here in this general area here that are a group of supporters from our church fellowships at both Troy Methodist Church and Ward Methodist Church. And they're part of Sue's book club and her walking group or her Bible study group, or they're from our neighborhood, have been great neighbors in the past. So would you just wave your hands so we can see all of you that are here from that group as well? Thank you. I know I've probably missed a few folks out there. I've already can see people I've already probably should have been calling out, but I just want to tell you how grateful I am for supporting this organization, at Scott Air Force Base called JDPAC and TEA, and supporting the Busler family for all these years. So I just want to tell you again, thank you. I'm so grateful for your presence here today. And no, I did not forget my immediate family, and I'm going to get to them a little bit later. But last week, many of you may recognize that it was the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and I was reminded, about what we, look at the consequential work that was done on that event. And it really represents, in many cases, and I'll get to how we describe that, but the essence of what we do at Transcom is symbolic. We're representing the pictures you see in D-Day. And we don't do that alone. We do it with our component commands and industry partners. But on the 6th of June, we take time to represent, and recognize not only the scope of that operation, but the solemn contributions of those people that gave their lives on that day. It really was symbolic because it really was the beginning of the end for the Second World War in Europe. And so we recognize that as a Herculean effort, not only in terms of human sacrifice, but the logistics required to make that happen. So if you look at the pictures that unfolded about what D-Day looked like, and you recognize the uniqueness of what it took to project and sustain that coalition force over the English Channel, and can just imagine what that looks like today, that's what we do here at U.S. Transcom. Our job is to be ready for the next D-Day. And so, that I thought was fitting, in terms of recognizing that. But if you look at D-Day, really it was the American transportation ingenuity and expertise is what made that really work well. And so, oftentimes you know what this looks like, but for my friends and family, I just thought I'd maybe recap what that is. That's what we do here at U.S. Transcom. We make the hard look easy because of the expertise and the unique skills and talent that we can bring to these kinds of operations. And this may sound a little weird, but recently had a chance to recognize and what we do for our transportation mission here at Transcom when Sue and I took a morning walk. And one of the things we tried to do recently is get out and walk for about 4 miles every morning. I feel better for that right now, so I just want to let you know that. But one of our recent walks, and you'll recognize kind of the uniqueness of being a military family here, but last week we were talking about all the things that cadets had to memorize in a little book called Checkpoints. Does anybody remember that little book? And so a book called Checkpoints, you had to memorize all sorts of things out of that. And perhaps that was stimulated. I've mentioned to many of you, but when I first left, the very first thing we did was go to Colorado Springs and celebrate with our grandniece her high school graduation and also her entrance into the Air Force Academy in about 2 weeks, which, by the way, that's 48 years, almost the day that Sue entered with the first class of women at the Air Force Academy. I don't know, does that make you feel old, Sue? But again, I want to recognize how we've had just an incredible crop of groundbreaking women in my life, and I did a little video. Many of you may have seen that a while back, but Sue, you look every bit as good as the day you attended the academy, and so I just want to say thank you for that. Anyway, in our walk, one of the things that Sue did is she started to spout off the second verse of the Star Spangled Banner. Does anybody here know the second verse of the Star Spangled Banner? Except for Sue. Anyway, so here it is, if you don't know what the second verse is. On the shore dimly seen, through the mists of the deep, where the foe's haughty host in dread silence reposes. And no, singing is not one of my fortes. I'll just get that right out there now. Well, today, and again, I know many of you recognize this, but for our guests, today our haughty foes are becoming clear and their silence is becoming more bellicose. What does this have to do with global transportation, you may ask? We must be ready to respond in a moment's notice to be able to counter our adversaries like China and Russia. And what we do here at Transcom really is an asymmetric advantage for our nation. And this is what made it so easy for me to be excited about what we do in JDPAC and TE and be part of this incredible Transcom team, because we make the hard look easy. And it's because of the talents and expertise of all the people that are out there like you. We mentioned before, General Van and General Lawrence both talked about we deploy combat forces half a world away and sustain them and make it look like that's just kind of what we do every single day, because it is. And many of you that sit here in the second and third and fourth rows here, you recognize that every single day this is what we do. As a matter of fact, if you turn on the news most nights and you see something happen in the world, behind the scenes is U.S. Transcom. That's what we do here. That's what Transcom is known for. And so logistics is uniquely American, at least at this scale, and that's why I'm so proud of to be part of this incredible team that really allows us to do this kind of work. And General Van Ovos mentioned, that really one of the key things that we developed, that's almost unique to this combatant command is having an engineering and analysis center of the magnitude and scale that we have here in JDPAC, TE, and A9 to be able to help support and articulate why we need these things to be able to prosecute our next war. And I tell you right now, I could not have planned the path that brought me to where I have enjoyed the last 14 years. but there is nothing that I could have envisioned doing that was more rewarding and satisfying than be part of this incredible JDPAC, TEA, and A9 team. From the cornfields of Illinois here, we make a big impact in the Department of Defense. And again, for the JDPAC, TEA folks here, you're a big part of why we are able to do that. So I am leaving JDPAC and TEA a very happy man. And I don't think anybody could ask more than that as they retire and look at the next chapter of their life. First, I'm happy to have been part of an incredible team that is committed to providing credible engineering and analytic products. And tomorrow evening, we'll spend time with that JDPAC family and celebrate our time together. But I wanted to basically call out today that there's some exceptional people that can do incredible things. And I'd like, for example, if everybody in JDPAC, TEA, and A9, whether you're former or current, would you please stand up? I wanted to recognize you because this is the real power behind JDPAC, TEA, and A9, so thank you. You are the power behind this organization. You're what makes it work, and I'm so proud to have been part of your team. Second, I'm happy with the impact we've had through the many mobility studies and engineering assessments and transportation reports that we've had in General Van Ovost. And again, thanks to you, Doug, you acknowledge the fact that those have had a big impact. And we really could not have done that work and earned the trust and confidence of the leaders in DoD and in the Congress without some incredibly knowledgeable, powerful division chiefs. So I wanted to call those people out because they're the ones who I really owe a debt of gratitude because they are the ones that get the work done. And so Lynn Grzybowski, I don't know if Lynn's here, but Lynn in the back over there, he runs our program analysis division that drives a lot of the key work you just heard about. Pete Skids Matthews does everything infrastructure-wise, our division chief there. John DeLapp, I know I saw John back there, runs our futures division. In the last 5 years has been really busy bringing our data science efforts. And Russell Atkinson, Russell is out of town, he couldn't be here today, but he runs our systems and data division, and that's where we maintain our big models and our technology footprint that's so critical for what we do in JDPAC. And Colonel Manson Wunderlich. Manson, it's really good to see those eagles on your shoulder right now. Manson, you are in a long string of incredible ops division chiefs, the latest one, and I'm so grateful for the work you do. And I hope you, I think you've already transitioned to J54, but thanks for representing that great team and for the work you've done as well. And then I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention one of the key people in our organization is the executive assistant. And Heath Tree, where's Heath? I see you back in the corner there before you, Cass, as well. You do an exceptional job running our outer office staff, taking care of our budgets and our contracts, so thank you for being one of the key leaders in our organization as well. And right in front of you, Barb Eric, as well as our personnelist, you're also one of the key things that make us work as well. And finally, Don Anderson. Don, are you here? For A9, Don is one of the key members of our team as well, and so I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. You deserve the real credit for making JDPAC and TEA A9 what it is today as part of this incredible organization that's able to support TRANSCOM, do the things you heard about from General Van Ovost and General Lawrence. Now, the third reason I'm leaving a happy man is because I've had the privilege of working with truly extraordinary deputies. I could not imagine leading JDPAC and TEA without my trusted confidants, brothers in arms, and champions of the JDPAC and TEA workforce and mission. And that's these two guys right here, Kurt Zargan and Mac McKenzie. And Mac, I think you recognize you're standing on the shoulders of giants like Barry Ballou as well to get you here as well. But I just cannot tell you how much I appreciate the work that you do and how much I value you in terms of helping us get to where we are today. I count on you to be able to provide the direction daily to keep us on track, and I was better because of your candid feedback and refinement of whatever topics we were working on. So whatever success we had, much of that belongs to the two of you. So thank you. In JDPAC, we use the analogy of making pigs fly as a representation of the challenging hard work that it takes to produce the engineering and analytic products that we produce. Today, I'll use a similar analogy that I am as happy as a pig in mud knowing who was selected as the next JDPAC and TEA director. And the JDPAC and TEA mission, as General Van Ovost mentioned, is in incredibly good hands with Ryan Samuelson. Ryan, I am ecstatic that you were selected to be my replacement. There's not a person I don't think could do this job better than you. So I am grateful. It makes me sleep a whole lot better at night knowing that you're going to be in charge to follow me. And many of you may not recognize, but Ryan and I, our history goes back almost 20 years. Back in 2005 at Travis Air Force Base in California, then a brand new executive officer in what was the 15th Expeditionary Mobility Task Force was given the task to plan and execute a retirement for the then Vice Commander, Colonel Bruce Busler. And here we are, 24 years later, at another retirement ceremony. Life is, oh, there you go. So, but I just think that somehow there's some divine intervention, that our lives have been so intertwined, Ryan. And again, I'm so grateful for the fact that you are falling behind me. I just, again, cannot tell you how glad I am that you're going to be the next director. Now I have saved the best for last. And somebody said, don't look in that direction. To my family. My dad, Jack Busler, is 92, and he's not up to traveling from Tempe, Arizona, which is where I grew up. But we will be sending pictures, lots of pictures and videos to make sure that you, Dad, that you know that you're part of this ceremony. Thanks for everything you taught me and modeled for me to make me the man that I am today. Thanks, Dad. And I'm delighted that my brothers, Brad and Ben, can be here from Arizona. They both came in last night and took time to be away from their families, so thank you for making the efforts to be part of this ceremony today. And we could not be prouder of our 3 adult children, Tom, Luke, and Rebecca. They all made very smart choices, married well, and are thriving in their chosen professions, and they are making a difference in the world as stalwart citizens. And none of them are living in my basement. What more could I ask for? Folks that know me know that I like to read, so I'm giving each of my children a set of books from the BS book list. That would be the Bruce and Sue book list. Our oldest son, Tom, and his wife, Jenna, moved back to O'Fallon after 10 years in Denver, and we're so grateful they did. They have 4 of our 6 grandkids, if you've seen in the front row here, Isla, Augie, Olive, and Elle. And we are grateful for regular visits with them and hugs, lots and lots of hugs. Our youngest son, Luke, and wife, Liz, live in Colorado Springs with our older 2 grandchildren, Annabelle, who's at camp this week and couldn't make it, and Penny. We're so glad that they could be here, and hopefully now we can make a lot more visits to Colorado Springs to have fun with you guys as well. You know, when your son or daughter marries, you gain a whole new family as well. And our daughter-in-law, Liz's parents, Hallie and Alan Sepsi, who are in the second row there, you have been at many of our family events. We are so grateful that you're part of our family. Thank you for being here today as well. Our daughter Rebecca and her husband Taylor live in McHenry, Illinois, on the Fox River. If you don't know where that is, I didn't know where it is as well, but it's a great place to live. That's just about 45 to an hour northwest of Chicago, almost the Wisconsin border. And they are both wise beyond their years. And lucky for us, they have a boat, jet skis, and we are going to be spending lots of time with them in the warm weather times we have with them as well. Now, we had a test going on today, and to my surprise, with the signs, that was kind of neat, but the test was for our grandkids, if they were on their best behavior, they got gift cards. So what do you think? Did they pass the test? Now, the pinnacle of every retirement certainly should not be focused on the retiree, but on the people who got them to this point. And no one deserves more credit for this successful retirement than my wife, Sue. And believe me, I've got a lot to be thankful for. I've got a lot of time to make up as well. Sue and I have been married for 44 years, and I never could have imagined the journey we started back at the Air Force Academy in 1978. Sue, you are everything that I'm not. I'm a dull engineer, content with calculated outcomes, and somber in almost everything that I do. You are gifted as a writer and speaker, with unequaled wit and creativity, and you have a zest for life and laughter that can't help but to lift everyone up. You could have been a general officer, and you put your military career second and invested considerable talent in our family and your passion for serving others. We are all better for it, and we are the product of your investments in us. Now is the time to confess my greatest shortcoming. And yes, I have many, but this is my greatest. And Sue, I've asked for way more than is fair from you, so that I could invest the time and energy in my profession to do what I needed, no, really what I wanted to do at your expense. There were lots of late evenings, lonely nights, and distracted weekends, but you always had dinner on the table. And whenever hour I got home, a warm reception as well, and I know I didn't deserve those many, many times. I know I've frustrated you way beyond what should have been expected, but you not only stuck with me, you made me better, and that is a true gift of grace. There are two things that I've always felt were part of God's plan for us. First of all, we've always been a great team, always a great team. Your strengths balance my weaknesses and vice versa. And second, a commitment to outlove each other, which is a pledge you made to me on our wedding day, and I had to learn over time. And somehow those two things have made us a great couple. So I have two modest gifts for you. The first is a single red rose. The red rose actually has a little bit of backstory. When we started dating, I had the inspiration to bring Sue a single red rose every week that we were in that relationship. And if my math is right, and I was part of an analysis center, so I think I'm pretty close here. So, but if I had kept that up, there would have been over 2,300 red roses that you would have had by this point in time, and you would have deserved every one of those and the heartfelt feelings that went with them. And the second gift is in the gift bag. Go ahead and open it up. And as she opens that up, there is a story behind that as well. And I recently received a book on retirement wisdom, and I found this quote, and it was quite meaningful for me. And basically, the quote is, "Retirement is when you stop living at work and start working at living." I'll say that again, and don't be distracted by the box. Retirement is when you stop living at work and start working at living. So in that gift bag are shoes, very comfortable walking shoes. I know what all of you are thinking. Shoes? Really? Not a diamond bracelet, not a new car, shoes? Well, there's more to that story as well. And Sue, those shoes are an earnest attempt to start working at living, and that is my commitment to you. We will work on making more opportunities to be Christ's hands and feet in this world. We will work on relationships over things, and we will work on seeking experiences more than possessions. So those shoes are going to take us some exciting places, and next week I'll get on the reservations, so just hold me to that promise. So, this is now coming to an end. I think we're just a little bit over an hour, so I'm not that far off. You know, I know I can be long-winded, but I think I have a pass today. So, my father-in-law, Kenny Timmons, was a World War II veteran who served in the China-Burma India theater. After the war, he returned to his hometown, and he started a livestock business with his brother, and they operated an auction on Saturday mornings. It was the place to be in southeastern Ohio. He was a successful farmer and a smart businessman, and in his later years, he always said that he was the richest man in town, and it had nothing to do with his bank account. He was the richest man in town, and it had nothing to do with his bank account. What my father-in-law understood, and what he really knew in his heart, is that relationships and trust, be it in family or in business, are what really make a man rich. He did business on a handshake when a man's word was his bond, and he was incredibly proud of his family. As I look out at this sea of faces, I recognize that I am incredibly rich because of you. You hopefully found a small American flag in your seat. I invite you to wave that flag when your service song is played at the medley in a few moments. And if you're not affiliated with a specific service, then wave that flag in celebration of those we serve. And please take that flag with you as a reminder you make a difference every day for our nation, whether it's here as the work you do at Scott Air Force Base, or whether you're supporting someone who serves in the military, for many of you over there. Thank you for making me a rich man.
Thank you and congratulations, Mr. Busler. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand, as Mr. Busler mentioned, to remain standing for the playing of the service songs and remain standing for the departure of the official party. The lyrics to the service songs are on the back of your program. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please come forward to congratulate Mr. Busler and his family. The receiving line will start forming to your left. A reception will take place at the rear of the ballroom. Thank you again for attending and sharing this special day.